Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Star Trek Strange New Worlds Toward the Night by James Swallow. This is the third Strange New Worlds book. It is a hardcover, which is a big deal for Star Trek, and this book released at the end of April, and I'm recording this at the end of May, and it's releasing in June. I know I'm way late to the party on this. In fact, this is probably one of the most requested reviews that I've had in a while, where I've had people commenting on Twitter and messaging me saying, hey, where's your review of this? And I had some mitigating factors that went into why I hadn't read the book yet. There's a lot going on with why it took me a while. But I finally did read it, and I really enjoyed it. And I'll talk about what I liked and didn't like in this review. I'll start out by saying that you are going to be forever thrown off with these books, that the first book by John Jackson Miller was so long that rather than add pages, they just shrunk the font size. And so it's like a 380-page book, but it should have been like a 550-page book because of how long it was. Whereas these James Swallow and Una McCormack's books are like 300 pages, and that's with really large font. So it's such whiplash thinking between them and the first one. Anyway, this book is set in the Strange New Worlds series and timeline, and this book cover to me is a little bit misleading because Uhura and Spock have decent storylines here, but I would have replaced them both with La'an Noonien Singh, who I think has a bigger character arc in this book, and I don't know who else I would replace, but I felt like the two they had there. Everyone else makes perfect sense in this book. But this book basically is about the Enterprise being sent to this, not being sent, but they hear a distress call at this planet, and there's nobody there. There's this abandoned civilization, but nobody's there. And there's no life forms. And everything's weird. And then this big solar flare comes, and it basically does something, and it sends part of the crew that were on this away team over to somewhere else. And it keeps the rest of our crew in the present, where they are, where they've been. And so the whole book is about the crew that was sent away. That includes Pike, that includes Ortegas, and that includes, who, by the way, character I did not expect to enjoy. I'm really liking the character of Ortegas in these books. Really like her character. And La'an Noonien Singh. The three of them, along with some red shirts that don't matter, the three of them are sent off to this other place and time, and the rest of the characters are on the Enterprise, and they're in this disputed space with the Klingons, and so the whole book is about them trying to reunite and stuff. And if I can just say, this feels like classic Trek. It is shocking to me how much, as I was reading this, I was like, this feels like 60s, 70s, 80s Trek. And like a book that you'd read then, or even any television episode you'd read then, or watch then. In fact, there is a Voyager episode. I won't say which episode, because if I mention the Voyager episode I'm thinking of, it's from season 1, it would instantly spoil like half the book, because the book follows the pattern of that Voyager episode so much. But I'll just say there's a Voyager season 1 episode that I was like, oh, that really reminds me of this book. And it's really surprising how similar they are. But it's not that James Swallow was by any means ripping off the Voyager episode. I'm just saying great minds think alike and come up with great stories that are similar sometimes. And so this book is about them trying to reunite. And Pike, is of course the main character of the TV series. Makes sense that they put him front and center. His character journey is not as strong as in the first two books in the series. He's in charge of this crew, but this book really is, in my view, Ortegas' book. Ortegas really has the limelight throughout the book. She goes on this journey because it has something to do with an ancestor of hers, and she's trying to square that. So I really liked her character journey in here. You also have Spock, Una Chin Riley, and Uhura, who are dealing with stuff on the crew, and I thought their stuff was good. good. The Klingons do show up in this book, as opposed to another Star Trek book I read recently, where the Klingons show up and they're not actually there. That was really frustrating. But the Klingons show up in this book, and there's a little bit of battle and stuff, and it felt very classic Trek, as I mentioned. The whole exploring this planet felt very classic Trek. Having the abandoned buildings that they're going through, and I could just be like, yeah, it's like the cheap set pieces that they couldn't, they can't afford to go build this exotic thing. So it's just like Earth with these buildings that are just decrepit, and we'll just dress them up a little. It just kind of reminded me of that. And then you have in this book these new characters that you introduce, who are, I'll just say, other Star Trek characters, not ones you've met before, but these other Starfleet characters who just play really well, kind of Lords of the Fly-like, against our main crew. And I thought their dynamic was great. It reminded me of basically the very end of a Next Generation episode. So again, there's a lot of classic Trek influences on this book. And I really liked seeing Ortegas and Lon Noonien Singh and Pike all having to interact with this new crew that they're having to interact with, who's been I'll say gone for some time. And so I really liked the dynamic there. There's also a tie-in to the Star Trek Discovery series, which I've not watched much of Discovery, but I caught it at the end, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting that you would tie that together in such a way. So I thought that was very clever from James Swallow's part. And so yeah, it's a very classic feeling Trek book. So even if you're someone that's like, I didn't like Strange New Worlds, the show, I watched the first 6 or 7 episodes of season 1, and it was like, I don't have a problem with it, it's just not doing anything for me, so I just haven't continued. My dad watched more of it, actually, and he's not as big a Trek fan as I am, which is funny. But even if you're not a fan of the Kurtzman era TV shows, these books are still great, because James Swallow is a great author, and I think this is either his 10th or 11th book. He hasn't written that many, but he's not written a bad one that I've read so far. I think this is my 3rd or 4th that I've read of his, and they've still been great. So I'm really enjoying reading his works. And yeah, Towards the Night was a very, very entertaining book. And I liked the resolution. I liked the end of the character arcs. I liked what it set up for the characters. I thought that Lon Noonien Singh had a few cool moments in here. I thought that the new characters I thought were good. But as I mentioned before, Ortegas really was the standout of this book, and I suddenly want to read a lot more from her. Dr. Mbenga had a cool couple of moments, and I should say, Christine Chapel had a few cool moments. I did enjoy Christine Chapel's moments as well, but it is Ortegas' book, and it rightfully. So I really enjoyed Toward the Night. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I think it was just really entertaining, and I had a blast with it. I'll actually be talking with the author, which that interview is going to be on the Literary Treks podcast soon. So go and check out that Literary Treks podcast. It's an audio-only podcast, but we'll do that interview soon, and I'm very excited for it. But I loved this book, and I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. So yeah, James Swallow, don't bet against him, because he's good. He's like James Cameron. Don't bet against him. So if you've read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you're a James Swallow fan, let me know your other favorite books of his. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.